What's up, Bills Mafia? It's your boy Prime at Cali Bills Talk. I got a question that has been burning in my chest for this entire week after watching our Bills through week 1, week 2, week 3, and the abysmal performance in week 4. My question to everyone that supports the Bills is, do we miss Stefon Diggs? That is a question I have had burning in my soul this entire week. We're going to get into it, but first, I want to introduce a really good friend of mine. We've known each other for a long time. We're both veterans. I'm going to bring him into the show now. Welcome on, everybody. Calvin.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, dude?
What's up, man? Hey, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
No problem. As I said in the beginning, as somebody who is a diehard Niners fan, as somebody who overall loves to watch every other team, we follow players here, we follow players there. My question to you is, do you think the Bills miss a deep threat like Stefon Diggs where we currently sit right now?
I think if you're going off of just the Ravens game, like what happened, I wouldn't say not really, or obviously you guys gave up Stefon Diggs for a reason, right? Like, whether it was issues with Josh Allen, whether it was maybe Stefon Diggs production, you maybe felt like it wasn't going to get much better. I think for me, like, as a Niners fan, we had a similar drama with the offseason with Ayuk, and well, he hasn't really been producing all that much either. But I think going into that game, I feel like Josh Allen was actually doing pretty well, all things considered. I think Shakir had production-wise is kind of like emerging as like the main target. I think he's getting the most or tied most or almost close to with Kincaid in terms of targets. And I think, production-wise, actually kind of almost similar with Diggs. I think it's too early to say whether you guys really miss Diggs like that. But I do think that given some of the issues that kind of led to Diggs being, now on the Texans, I think it's still too early to say. I would say as of now, I don't think so, even though obviously this game against the Ravens, it was a little bit of a struggle.
Absolutely. No, and I totally get it. I've already made content. I've already been on record saying the Bills Ravens game was absolute trash. We came out and we looked like the doormat of the NFL. We couldn't do anything. We got systematically beat at all levels of the game. I've done a recap on it, and we played absolutely terrible. Hats off to the Ravens again. They're going to be scary if they can maintain this level of play. We will definitely see them in the playoffs. They are most likely going to the playoffs, as are we. One crazy stat that I'm going to throw out that a lot of people might not be aware of if they don't follow as hardcore as some of us. Stefon Diggs right now through the 2024 season has 25 receptions for 233 yards and 2 touchdowns. Our number one, which I self-proclaimed him as our number one wide receiver right now, Khalil Shakir, has 18 receptions for 230 yards and 2 touchdowns. So less receptions and only has 3 less yards, but has the same amount of touchdowns as Stefon Diggs. I've already crowned him as our number one wide receiver because if you look at who else we have, Keon Coleman, he's a rookie. You can't really expect much out of him. He, as of right now in 2024, Coleman right now has only 8 receptions and 126 yards, 1 touchdown. I think he will be good, but time will tell. The rest of our receivers, in my opinion, taking away the 2 tight ends we have in Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid, the rest are trash. And I'm just going to keep that 100. Valdez-Scantling is trash. Matt Collins is trash. And I don't know what is up with Curtis Samuel. I don't know why we're not using that dude. He only has 48 yards through 4 games. So I don't know what's going on with that. It really pisses me off. We need to find a way to get these people more involved. And I feel we need somebody to really step up and help us stretch the field. Right?
I mean, I'll be honest, I kind of forgot Curtis Samuel was still in the league. That's
right?
Like,
yeah, he's kicking ass at Buffalo. That's what he's doing.
But I mean, I think, one thing, I do like Kincaid a lot. I do think that if he hasn't already kind of seceded Dawson Knox as like your go-to tight end, So I think that's always a good option to have a reliable tight end, because him and Shakir pretty much have the same amount of targets, and obviously as a tight end, maybe the route you're running is a little bit shorter, so the yards aren't going to reflect that as much as Shakir. But I think Allen and Kincaid have some pretty good chemistry going on. It's going to keep getting better. I like Coleman, but like you say, he's a rookie. But let's see how things go as the season progresses. I like, he's a big boy, 6'4", you got a big frame, and I do think you kind of need that, considering Shakir's only 6 feet, so you kind of, I always feel like as a receiving core, you need a diverse group. You need your speedster, you need your possession guy, you need your chain mover, things like that.
Right, and that's kind of where I'm at as well. Kincaid has 13 receptions for 132 yards already through 4 games. I think that's pretty solid for a tight end who is only in his second year.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's coming along great, but I still feel like, and don't get me wrong, we blew out the first 3 teams we played. The Ravens were touted as one of the toughest teams that we've played so far, and we shit the bed. But when it comes to like Kincaid and Dawson Knox, I feel like we should be dominating more in the passing game, essentially having the ability to go into 12 personnel and the ability to have essentially 2 tight end ones going down the field. And if anything, they could play more decoy and get somebody else open, right?
No, that's definitely. I think also playing in 12 personnel helps the run game a lot too, because you basically have 2 bigger bodies. It's almost like having 7 offensive linemen, and I think for Josh Allen's sake, if you don't, obviously he can put the Superman cape on, and he could straight up will a team to win. I've seen it enough times, but I think we've seen over the course of a season that's not really sustainable, and you kind of need some games where get to take the load off of his shoulders. But yeah, I think I would agree. I would like to see the Bills roll out heavier personnel sets. I think, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, if the Bills might have adjusted this, but I know in years past, the Bills would just, for whatever reason, would not run plays out of under center. It would just, everything would be coming out of shotgun, and it was like running your head into a wall, and you just weren't getting a lot of production from the run game to help out Allen. You roll out 12 personnel. I think that helps out a lot, since naturally you're going to be more under center with those personnel sets, and it just rolls off from there, and that's how you're able to get more of the games that you got the first 3 games compared to the. I think with the Ravens, you fall behind quickly, and you're just going uphill the entire time, and it's just all bad.
So it's one thing that I noticed watching the Bills play the Ravens. They kept Allen in the pocket. They took away, for the most part, his ability to run. I know they gave up that long 52-yard play to Shakir on a broken play. That play was broken. That play was not scripted.
Yeah.
Totally broken. They took away his ability to run, kept him in the pocket. And I felt like once we abandoned the run, we were not ready to play the rest of that game. Like, we were scrambling. Nothing was working. We had drops. Allen was under pressure almost the entire game. I mean, Baltimore came out. They were dogs. And it was rough to watch that whole game.
Oh, no, absolutely. I shut the game off after halftime, really. The game, it's like if the phrase running into a buzzsaw, if there was an example, this would probably be Exhibit A. Ravens, we all know how the Ravens want to play. They want to pound the rock. Now they got Derrick Henry. Thanks Titans. I don't know how the hell you let that happen, but
right.
The Ravens, they have a style that they want to play, and they pretty much they'll just like execute it to a T. And like you said, you're scrambling a lot, literally sometimes, just to even get like a first down. Taking the run game pretty much out of the equation completely, and it's just tough at that point, because the Ravens, they get to do what they want to do, which is pound the rock, work off a play action after that. Have Lamar. I think there was like one draw play, I think, where Lamar, pretty much they had like backfield motion out to the right, and it just cleared out the linebackers and just parting the Red Sea. Lamar just that's an easy first down for him. It's not like that guy needs a lot of room anyways to operate. So I think you guys see him in the playoffs. I'm willing to say I think there's something you could take away from this game, but I don't think it will go the way as it happened this past week. This was just one of those things where, hey, it's prime time, it's in Baltimore, and kind of when Derrick Henry went on that huge 87-yard run, I mean, it's kind of see the writing on the wall. There was just too much momentum rolling in Baltimore's way.
So I broke down that play on a previous video I did, and I broke it down. I paused it when Derrick Henry was right through the hole on that 87-yard run. I paused it. Our entire defensive line were on skates. Our entire linebacking core got caught. Just stuck. All of them just got stuck in the flow. The Ravens offensive lineman had a hat on a hat going down the field. DeMar Hamlin, as well as Benford, I believe, our safety, were just terrible angle, and they got sucked down. And Derrick Henry, once he reaches his 20 or 21 mile per hour top speed, good luck, bro.
Yeah. Derrick Henry is one of those old school backs where once he gets, it's a freight train. Once he gets rolling, I mean, either you can't catch up with him or you get ran over or stiff arm. It's like his signature right there. So I think there was actually one where kind of play off of that. Derrick Henry's second touchdown, off of a short. I think it was around the goal line. It was like a play action pass. You can see the linebackers just flowing really hard, towards the play fake, and and you can't help but think hey, the Ravens were already, Derrick Henry had 200 yards rushing, man. The Ravens, everything was just rolling, and Derrick Henry slips out the back. And I played, as fullback, man, nobody ever guards. I don't know what it is about that route, but nobody ever covers it. The run fake gets everybody. It's an easy walking touchdown. So, just one of those games where I feel like it went bad. It went bad early, and you're trying to scramble, trying to build some type of momentum, but just too much.
So getting into, and I prefaced this, and I apologize to anybody watching this video. I prefaced it and everything else. I said that the Bills-Ravens game is over. We watched it. We went through our feelings. Now it's time to flush it, clean the bowl, and get out.
On to next week.
Yep, on to the next week. My question to you is, the Bills have, in my opinion, the toughest game coming up, and the Allen and Diggs drama aside, this Texans game potentially has a recipe to either be very good for us for an emotional bounce back win, or it could go very badly and we can lose by 40. And I feel like there is no in between.
Really? Is this in Houston or is this in Buffalo?
This is in Houston. Baltimore was the first of a 3-game away game stand.
Man, you guys already?
Yeah. So
those are rough. Those are rough for sure. Dang.
Yep. So it's in Houston. I want to know who you think is going to win the game. You don't got to get super analytical if you can, if you want. I just want to know if you think the Bills get it done in Houston and we walk out of Houston with the dub and give Diggs the finger on the way out, or do you think Diggs goes for over 100 in a touchdown?
I think this is one of those games where if the Bills I do think it's going to be close. I think this is one of those. If you can keep it a close game, I do think the Bills are the more experienced team. If there's anything I've seen from Houston, they got some really nice players. I like Stroud, I like Nico Collins, but the one thing I noticed about that defense as a whole, they're very undisciplined. I think I don't have the exact numbers on me, but I've seen way too many penalties out of the Texans. And I think with Josh Allen, his experience, I don't really think road games like this really bother him that much. I think Allen he's seasoned enough to kind of handle this. Obviously, I'm pretty sure they'll try to play down the Diggs drama.
Right.
But I do think that the Bills can take care of this kind of situation. I think it's a pretty close game. If you want me to give you an actual score, I'd probably say somewhere like a 28-24 kind of game.
Oh, real close.
I think it's pretty close. The Texans, to give them credit, they're a tough squad. Kind of sometimes as a Niner fan, I kind of wish we kept DeMeco Ryans, so they didn't have to go through all this crap with our defensive coordinators. But I do think the Texans. I do think that there's going to be some undiscipline, or lack of discipline, that's going to cost them, because that is one thing I've noticed about the Texans. Despite all the explosiveness, It's a pretty exciting team to watch, but I think this is one of those games where the more seasoned team just figures out how to close it out in crunch time.
Yeah, we have a real tough stretch here. Not only did we go to the Ravens in primetime Sunday night, we have the Texans in the 1 o'clock window, and then right after the Texans, we have Monday night against the Jets.
Yeah, damn, and in New York too.
In New York, yes. And Von Miller has been suspended.
Right. I actually heard about that. 4 games.
Yep.
I haven't actually heard too much about the specifics, but it was like some off the field kind of stuff that happened with that.
Yeah, so I believe I've been trying to research it. I've been trying to look it up, but I'm thinking that it's stemming. So he got suspended 4 games for violating the personal conduct off the field. I'm thinking it's stemming from his arrest in 2023 for that assault on the pregnant woman.
Oh, I see.
So even though he knew this woman, he did get arrested. He did bond out. He got out. She recanted her statement, if I remember correctly. She recanted. He put the whole thing behind him. They moved on. But I still think the NFL came back, investigated it, and said, hey, you still got arrested. You still made the NFL look stupid. You're going to get a 4 game.
That hurts a lot. Considering that I still think Von Miller, situationally, I still think he's still one of the better pass rushers in the game. I don't think he's, it's like that 3 down or every down kind of guy at this point, but I do think his ability to rush the passer is still going to be very missed.
3 sacks in 4 games for him already this year.
Yeah.
So we're missing him for the Texans game, the Jets game, the game against the Titans, which I'm not too worried about, and we're missing him for the Seahawks. He comes back on November 3rd when we play the Dolphins at home.
Well, I mean, I never really believed that much in the Dolphins to begin with. This is even with Tua. So at least you don't have to worry. I don't think you got to worry too much about that, especially at home too. But
yeah, we beat him on the road, and all things considered, I know I bitch a lot, and we all want our teams to be perfect, right? So we nitpick. We're super invested in our teams, right? We're emotionally invested. I've spent money on this team, right? I give them my time, the most important thing. So I want to see them do well. So I am hard on the team. I'm not going to, like some of these Bill fans will come on here and fluff it and be like, oh, we'll be fine. We'll work on it. It's like, no, dude, like we have a serious problem. We need to figure it out. Okay. Because, and I get it. Things could be worse. We could be the 1-3 Dolphins right now.
Sure, it's about to be 1-4. That Dolphins team they're cooked. If you ask me.
Yep.
You lost to. I don't even think Will Levis even played for the Titans that game. Who was it?
Will Levis started the game, and then I think he was taken out after like a pick or 2.
Holy crap, man! So he even get injured. He got benched because he was just that bad.
Yeah, he's bad. So I get it. Our problems could be worse. Okay. I'm very happy that we have Josh Allen. I'm very happy that we're 3-1. I'm flushing the Baltimore game. In my mind, we're on to the Texans. And in my opinion, 3 back-to-back-to-back AFC games. Right? We dropped one in Baltimore. I feel like, we cannot drop one against the Texans. We definitely cannot drop one against the Jets. The AFC is super competitive. All of these games, they hold tiebreakers. They could really screw us over. Yeah, they could really screw us over.
Definitely. Dang.
How are things over in Ninerland? IU drama aside.
Well, I'll be honest. Part of me still isn't over that Super Bowl.
The whole world feels your pain.
Yeah, I remember when obviously I wasn't old enough to remember when I don't want to bring it up. Obviously, it's the Bills channel, but 4 straight.
That's rough.
The Niners, it wasn't back to back to back, but damn it is. We're kind of getting there in terms of just I haven't seen one. I haven't seen one yet. I don't count 94, and I was way too young. Don't really even remember it, to be honest. For the Niners, I think a lot of it is just a lot of frustration. I think a lot of sloppiness. special teams is killing us right now, and not in a good way. That was the only reason why the Patriots even got that touchdown was we started putting out these rookies, and they can't return kicks, they can't cover kicks. That's the reason why we lost the Rams game too. Gave up a big punt return when you absolutely just that was just the last thing you can do. They didn't even. I don't even any. There's like there was hardly any time to even drive the ball down. I know it's Stafford, but that game made me sick. I thought the Vikings was a bit of a letdown. Or maybe they are legit, but still, you know, I still think that was a game they should have won. But I think this is just one of those seasons where I do think a Super Bowl hangover is probably on the table here. I think there's a lot of CMC. I have no idea what that how that's going to turn out. It just seems like every new update seems like the injury gets worse. Like it
Right.
went from week one, all right, he's probably going to play, to he's a scratch, to now we got to put him on IR. Now he's going to Germany to go see someone for his Achilles tendonitis. Now they're saying it's on both of his legs. Like
Yeah.
like what's next? Next thing, this dude got like knee problems. Like he's out. Like so. Jordan Mason has been It's been a really good revelation for us. I've actually liked him a lot since even going back to last year. I just didn't think he had a lot of opportunities because you got McCaffrey taking in, which is not a problem. Like, I'm not complaining about that at all. But I think he's really stepping in. Ayuk, big disappointment, really big disappointment. Even Trent was a bit of a disappointment since they both held out. But I think Trent kind of turned it around a little bit the last couple of weeks. But Ayuk still, I think there's still some chemistry issues. I think that's why you see Juwan Jennings kind of taking in as that role, which is
Right.
kind of surprising. I did not have that on my bingo card.
Right.
Juwan Jennings kind of stepping in and being. I mean, I think shit. I even felt like if the Niners won that Super Bowl, you probably put Juwan Jennings as Super Bowl MVP in that game.
Mm.
Threw a touchdown, caught a touchdown, made big time catches down the stretch, and I do feel like Brock Purdy is kind of developing more of a chemistry with Juwan Jennings out of all people, instead of the dude that we paid almost 30 mil a year for instead. But it's one of those things for the Niners. I've always felt like we've been doing it for a while, but I feel like this is the one time where it really like backfired on us, where we wait too long to give a guy an extension, and we felt like, all right, hey, we're going to get it done. We're going to get it done before training camp or before preseason. And then this thing just dragged on way too long. I'll be honest, I was part of the trade him crowd. Like, I was actually thinking about it, just send this dude to the Steelers. I'll take George Pickens, and but obviously for Shanahan, he loves his receivers. Everybody's got to block. You got to be a good run blocker to play Shanahan's offense. So
I wanted Ayuk to the Bills.
who are you gonna give up for Ayuk?
Dude, picks something.
Man.
If we could have made it work, I wanted. Okay, so first of all, I wanted CMC when he was leaving Carolina. Okay, and then that didn't happen. I get it. He probably wanted to go back home, right? There's probably deeper things that we don't know. Went to the Niners. Good for him. I wanted Ayuk badly, right? And then even, I don't know if you heard this, but there is a potential blockbuster.
With Adams.
Yeah.
With Adams. Yeah. Dude,
I wonder what we would have to give up to get him.
It just depends on just how bad of a shape the Raiders are in right now, and is looking like that. Kind of makes me kind of crazy. Like they actually got a win off of Baltimore, but I guess it's the NFL, right? Crazy stuff happens. It'll be interesting to see how that turns out. I don't think right now there's any team really that's like seriously making consideration. I do remember seeing Vegas putting like the Jets, but that's probably because of Rodgers. It'd just be interesting to see what teams are willing to give up. And I think, what is it, week 4? That was week 4, right? So I think like the trade deadline's around like week 8 or something, or week 9.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah.
So I think these next, maybe not this week, but I think maybe 2 weeks from now, I think we'll start to see more traffic with that.
So if the Bills are able to land Devontae Adams, this is me going into fantasy land right now. If we're able to land Devontae Adams and it works out, he comes over to the squad, do the Bills become even more of a contender, and do they become even more scary, in your opinion?
Well, I think you guys are already kind of borderline contenders as of right now. I think just because given how competitive the AFC is, I think it's only fair to I think the Bills stand a chance. Um, I think you put Adams in, that definitely puts. I want to say the lead, but I do think that puts you at that elite tier because now you get your bona fide number one wide receiver, and I still stand by this. I still think Devontae Adams is still the best receiver in the game right now. I know maybe a lot of people might say Jefferson or Jamar or whatever, but I still stand by. I still think it's Adams.
Yep.
In terms of route running, um, in terms of being able to get elite separation, great releases. You give that to a player like a quarterback like Josh Allen. Shoot, I think the sky's the limit at that point. It really just becomes just how quickly they both get accustomed to each other.
Right.
But the question then becomes, what exactly would it take to get Adams over to the Bills? Maybe the Raiders just say, JJ, fuck the Chiefs. Let's just screw them over one last time and send them over. But I'll be pretty. I think the idea is enough to be excited about. To be honest,
is Deebo Samuel? Is he healthy? Is he on the field right now?
Shit, Deebo Samuel and healthy. Those are like two things that they don't go in. They don't belong in the same sentence. I don't think Deebo actually has played a full season ever since he came into the league. I think just his style, just naturally, is gonna a lot of wear and tear. But he's still been producing pretty well. I do feel though, and I love Debo. I do feel that as a Niner fan, if you got to be really objective, like I'm throwing away all the fandom, all the attachments you have. I'm just looking at this real, just cold and calculated. I think Debo's time is numbered. I think his days are numbered in San Francisco. I think that when we got Debo, we had a guy named Jimmy G who couldn't throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field.
Right.
We had to start coming up with a way to how do we move the offense? How do we get explosive plays? So we started, we got to find guys that get good yak. They can run out to the catch really well, and I think Debo does that pretty well. But there's that one play in the Super Bowl that just sticks out, and I just cannot get rid of, was when Debo was lined up against Trent McDuffie in the Super Bowl. And I think it might have been two-man. I think it was two-man under because there was safety help over the top. And I think McDuffie was just playing trail technique the entire time. But regardless, Debo got clamped up hard. Whether it was off, whether it was press, whether it was just, playing off. Debo, didn't know. I mean, I think Brock Purdy might have, he probably missed a few throws in that game too. But Debo was not getting any separation. And that's the thing that concerns me is that Debo, when he has the ball, one of the best with the balls when the ball's in his hands. But the problem is that I think with Purdy, I know a lot of people have their opinions about Purdy, but if you watch Purdy as of lately, he's throwing the ball down the field. Like he's bombing it. I do think that there's a certain skill set that you want from a receiver when you have a quarterback that's willing to throw the ball down the field. And I think Debo, what he does well, slowly not really meshing with what I think the Niners need to do if they want to get over the hump.
Right.
Because I feel like with what you have right now, it's kind of almost like we made the offense as if Jimmy G was still on the team. And clearly that, and we've seen if how many tries have we had, in the playoffs, as of this point. You just run into a wall and you just can't get over it. Shanahan has that record, where he's like, if he's trailing in the fourth quarter, he's like 2-31 or something like that. And I think there's a reason for it. And the big reason is that our drop back passing game sucks. It's ass. We can't protect. We can't throw hot when we need to. And when we do have time, our guys can't get good separation against better secondaries. Except for like Ayuk was doing okay at the time, and right now Juwan Jennings is really like the main guy that we're targeting on these downs. Debo's, he's great, but that's just not part of his game. And I
Right.
feel like as an offense, at some point, I kind of need somebody else. I need someone that can do that for me, and I'm just not willing to pay Debo like an extension if this is all I'm going to get out of him. So I think from the Niners, I think that you got to rethink this offense. I think it's good, and I know a lot of teams have followed it, but I do think that the lack of a good drop back passing game is starting to show its ugly head.
So you guys paid, just so I'm correct here. You paid Ayuk, right?
Yes, after a very long and drawn out process.
So how long do you have him for?
I think we paid him. I think we got him to a 4 year. I think was it a 4 year? I think we paid him a 4 year because he was on his fifth year. He was on his fifth year. He was on his fifth year because he was a first round pick. So he was on his fifth year deal. So yeah, it was a 4 year, $120 million extension. So we're actually not paying him that yet. I don't think, but we are. He does get 76 million guaranteed. So
Ooh.
that's we're not. See, at one point I was thinking like, damn, if Devontae's on the market, man, I'll trade you straight up. But we just paid Ayuk, so yeah, they're not gonna.
Yeah,
I think
and that's my fear with Buffalo. We don't have anything to give the Raiders. Is anyone going to do Mac Hollins for Devontae Adams straight up?
I mean, if the Raiders are rebuilding, like, I mean, where are the Bills at with draft picks? Where are you guys at with draft compensation? Like
that, I will have to look up. I don't know if we have any first rounds. We might have a couple seconds, thirds, fourth, all that stuff. But in my opinion, Devontae Adams is the kind of guy where it's like, hey, we're either going to get a player, you're going to pay out the ass, or you're going to give us like picks until you die. And it's like, okay.
I think it's also especially like if the Raiders feel that, damn, the Bills, y'all really need a number one guy. They might start jacking up the price just because they know that.
Right.
I do think this is maybe. I think if the Bills can find a way to, like you said, spread it around, everybody eats. I think if you can kind of hide that or hide, maybe there isn't that much of an issue, but if you make it more like, hey, we're trading for a position of strength, just kind of like, not necessarily a position of need. At least that's how you want to frame it. Maybe might get a better deal, but I do. It'll be interesting to see what other teams are willing to give up because it ain't going. It's gonna be a lot of suitors for Adams.
So this is definitely down the road. This is a December 1st game in Buffalo this year. I was kind of upset. I was kind of hoping it was going to be in the Bay. But San Francisco comes into Buffalo December 1st. We'll be out of the bye week when we play you. That is week 12, I believe. We go in the bye week 11, and then week 12, we play the Niners. You think that's going to be a close game?
Probably not. I'll be honest. I think with you guys are coming out of a bye week, we would just be coming out of Green Bay because we got back-to-back road games. I think scheduling wise, it doesn't look that great for us. Our bye week comes out to the Dallas game. I think there's this idea for the Niners that we have some kind of elite defense. I personally think that defense is just living off of what they did back in 2022 when Nick Bosa was Defensive Player of the Year. Outside of Fred Warner, I don't really see a lot of impact being made from everybody else. I think our corners, we went pretty cheap, or we went pretty cheap on our secondary. I think Charvers is like the only guy that we might actually be paying like decent money to.
Right.
And I know this is probably just a Bills channel. I'm not just saying that because it's from a Bills channel. I do think for the Niners, this is one of those games where, personally, you just kind of hope as a Niner fan that because it's an AFC game, if you have a decent enough record going into that game, you lose it, it doesn't really hurt you that much.
Right.
But I do think that I don't know how that defense is going to handle Allen. If he does decide to scramble, he does try to improvise. We've had a lot of trouble with quarterbacks that can do that. And I think just given the fact that we're coming out of Green Bay, you guys are coming off of a bye, just kind of feels like it's doesn't really feel it feels like one of those games where you just look at the schedule and you think, damn, it's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, no, I feel it. I definitely coming out of the bye. We should come out strong. It's a home game. That really plays in my opinion. I think that's a pretty big, deciding factor in a lot of games, right? Especially we had a whole week of rest. You guys were in Green Bay. It's going to be probably absolutely freezing in Green Bay when you play there.
Yeah, and you go right to Buffalo, which is cold again. So
right.
So I think that's also like when you look at, so we come out of the bye against Dallas. We go immediately to the East Coast to play Tampa, and Tampa looks like Tampa looking pretty good right now. Then we go fly back home to Seattle. Then we fly back to Green Bay. So you think about it, there's basically we at no point do we get to just stay at a place for more than a week. We're traveling either across the country or we're going to somewhere cold as fuck. I look at it like that kind of stand, because we'll have a 2-game homestand after Buffalo against Chicago and the Rams. So hopefully those games can be kind of taken care of. But personally, I kind of look at the Bills, look at the Packers. I think if there were a game for the Niners to drop, probably would be the Bills, just because this is after a 3 road game and 4-game stretch. Especially, you guys are coming off a bye, we're coming off the road again, so just doesn't really look. It's one of those games where doesn't really look all that promising. All things considered, and I still have questions about this defense, quite frankly.
Who was the player on your defense? It might have been in the Super Bowl. Who was the linebacker that was like getting hyped up on the sideline and like tore something?
Yeah,
did he tear something? Is that what that was?
He blew out his Achilles.
Oh,
yeah.
He was just hopping.
Yep. He tore his Achilles, and he wasn't even in the play. Like literally,
he was on the sideline.
He was on the sideline.
Who was that?
You know what the crazy part is? That last season was probably actually one of the healthier seasons for the Niners, all things considered. And something like this, it's just they say shit happens, but damn, man, it feels different when you.
Was that Bowman?
I think he's rehabbing. I don't know when I think he should be back sometime this year, but I already had him scratched off for like the first half of the season. Like he wasn't going to make it that quickly. So hopefully we get him back. Clearly we missed Greenlaw. I miss Greenlaw a lot.
Is that who it was that hurt himself? Was that Greenlaw?
Yeah, Dre Greenlaw.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was balling out. He was balling out leading up into that during that playoff run. And I still think the Niners still should have won that Super Bowl even without it. I mean, we're right there, but.
Well, I'll tell you one player that I know a lot of people are like, oh, that sucks. That shouldn't happen to anybody. But one player that absolutely was devastating to lose for us was Matt Milano.
Yeah.
So he got hurt in London last year, missed almost the entire season, came back this season, gets hurt again, and now he's back on the IR. And it's rough.
It's rough.
He's a really good cover linebacker.
Oh yeah, no, those cover linebackers in today's era, like they're invaluable. Just allows you to you can stay in your base personnel a little bit more. You don't have to worry about if they put out a receiving tight end, it's not going to be that big of a mismatch. That's why I love Fred Warner as much as I do. Man, my opinion, I do think he is the best cover linebacker in the game. I think there was that one play 2 years ago in the divisional round against the Cowboys, and they put CeeDee Lamb as the number 3 receiver, and he was just running just a seam route. No safety help. They just had Fred, and he was lined up like, I think he was like kind of like mugging the center, so he was on the A gap, and he just turns around and just runs with CeeDee all the way down. forces an incompletion. That was a big play, and so Fred Milano. I think Milano's a great. I think it's really unfortunate that just all these injuries and kind of makes you wonder, like, is he ever going to get back to form? But yeah, those cover linebackers are really good. Do you guys still have
Mhm.
Tremaine Edmonds? Is he
We
still?
do not. We do
Right.
not. We traded. Tremaine Edmonds left the Bills. He chased the bag and got paid a ridiculous amount and went to Chicago.
Oh, right. Yeah. He went to Chicago. Okay, remember that. Yeah, I liked him a little bit there.
Yeah, the Predator.
Yeah, you got the dreads and all that. Dang. So defensively, with Von Miller out for these next 4 games, who do you think is most likely that you kind of have to be like, hey, we need this guy to step up to really make the impact plays?
Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, and then so that's our interior. And then the defensive ends, it has to be Greg Rousseau and AJ Epinesa. I mean, you've had how long now learning under, Von Miller is going to go to the Hall of Fame. Okay. And not only are you learning from your coaches, you're actually getting one-on-one for a whole season from Von Miller. Like, these guys, I hope, turn into like straight demons in sometime this season or next season. But, I like Greg Rousseau over Epinesa. I think, Greg Rousseau, I think he played at Miami. And he's a dog, but, it's just like this. They play really, really good. They get your hopes up, and then the next game you're like, where is he?
Yeah. Yeah, I think especially since at least from what I've seen, I know the Bills, you guys like to stay a lot in a lot of too high shells. A lot of times when you stay in those too high shells, you can't really afford to add additional guys to blitz and whatnot. So you're going to really need to generate pressure with just your front 4.
Right.
They're going to have to. You won't be able to. You maybe run some stunts, run some games, but a lot of times you're just going to have to. Especially your ends, they're just you're going to have to win your one-on-one matchups on the outside to kind of really bring that pressure. Especially if you're going to keep playing that too high shell.
Right. And something I feel that we absolutely did not do against Baltimore, right? Like, if I went back and I watched the game, and a lot of the plays, our whole defensive line was just on skates, or they were so worried about getting up the field, the play went right underneath them.
Yeah, a lot of screen plays, a lot of draw plays, just basically, you want to be aggressive, but you don't want to, rush out of your, you don't want to like leave your, give up contain. You want to stay in your lanes. You don't want to just let them run right by you, especially when they can take advantage of it if they know you're just trying to get upfield.
Right.
It's actually a problem that Nick Bosa has a lot. If you look back at that Super Bowl, they ran a lot of almost zone reads against Bosa. And it's just Bosa's nature. He loves trying to get upfield. He loves using that speed to try to get around the corner. But you take it. You take
really frustrating.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because it feels like you're there. They just run, run right by you. Especially if they try to run, anyone tries to run like counters or trap plays, they just want you to get the idea that you can just get upfield.
No, right. And I feel, and again, I'm back to talking about the Baltimore game. It was an abysmal performance, but it just goes to show you even more masterclass game calling from Baltimore. They systematically beat the Bills. They said, I read a stat somewhere that this was Buffalo's first 10-point or more loss in over 40-something games.
Damn.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. I mean, well, if you want to look at it from the bright side, it probably means that you guys aren't going to have another one of these for a while. Especially, you say 40-something games?
Yeah, like something like 10 years or something crazy.
Well, that's like 16 years. Like, almost like 3 seasons worth for you guys. Every game you've more or less played it pretty close. It's just one of those. I know you probably don't want to, reopen this,
right.
open the wound on this, but it's just one of those games. Look, I think even even good teams sometimes just have one of those games where, like, hey, they're ready, we weren't. They had a lot going for them, or as my coach used to say, sometimes they're hot and you're not. And and I think the Ravens are ultimately still a good team. I know they came into that game 1-2, but I do think it's one of those teams where the record doesn't really tell you how good they really are.
Right.
Lamar Jackson's still the reigning MVP, 2-time MVP. You got Derrick Henry. Somehow they got Derrick Henry to add on to that backfield. It's still kind of crazy. I still, and that's a Heisman backfield.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that crap. And I know they lost Mike McDonald. He's with the Seahawks now, but I think they still got a lot of good playmakers defensively. That secondary is still pretty sound, in my opinion. Just one of those games where the Ravens are kind of one of those teams that they snowball you. Once you start falling behind, then they lean on the run a little bit harder. Now you're really pressing. You're trying to commit to stopping it, and hit you with play action after that. Yep. And when you think you got everything covered, Lamar scrambles for a first down, and it just starts building, and it just got out of hand. It got out of hand by honestly kind of almost like halfway through the second quarter, quite frankly.
Yep.
And so it's just one of those games where I would imagine the Bills learn from this. They meet up again in the playoffs. I think it'll be a lot closer. And hey, for what it's worth, you guys still have a game up. You still have a game on the Ravens. If you do meet up again, maybe you might be back in Orchard Park.
God, I hope so. So, all right, man. I super appreciate you being here. It means a lot to me. We've been friends for a long time. I love to get the insight of not only friends, but fans of other teams. I like to see, because we get so, tunnel
vision.
Yeah, we get tunnel vision on our own team. So it's good to have an outside perspective on the teams. So before I wrap it up here, before I let you go, I got one more question for you. I'm going to put you on the hot seat a little bit. Give me the score prediction one more time for the Bills and the Texans this Sunday.
Okay, so I did give you a score earlier, but I'll say it again. I do think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be one of those games where it comes down to, 1 or 2 plays. Or I know we don't like to have the refs involved in this, but I do feel like this might be one of those games where a penalty kind of influences a lot in terms of who wins this. I do think the Bills ultimately are the more veteran team. I think they're the more disciplined team. And I think I got the Bills winning this in a close one, 28-24.
28-24. We will take it. All right, man. I super appreciate your time today. Hang out here for a second. I'll be with you in a second, all right?
All right, for sure, man.
All right, man. All right, Bills Mafia. You got the insight from a Niners fan. That was my boy Calvin. We served together. We're still almost like best friends to this day. He's a diehard Niners fan. I had to get his input on make myself feel better, right? I need to know how the Bills are going to be moving forward after that abysmal performance in Baltimore. But hey, we're moving forward. We're 3-1. Bring on those Texans. And before I sign out for the night, I want to let everybody know that's been rocking with my channel. Thank you. It means a lot. You're supporting a veteran channel. This is something, like I say, I preface in all my videos. I do this because it's an outlet for me for the things I got going on in my life. So I super appreciate you. If you're new to the channel and you're watching this video, hit the sub button, support a veteran channel. Until then, everybody, stay strong, stay safe, and go Bills.